TaRael Kee.
Okay, hello everyone. Let me make sure I switch it over here. So my name is TaRael Kee. I am currently an assistant principal at Collinsville High School. Before that, I was a teacher, taught for 5 years. I was school counselor for 10 years. And then ultimately in 2021, I became the Illinois School Counselor of the Year. The following year, I became the president of the Illinois School Counselor Association. I also have a YouTube channel called The Key to Success. So I just hit my 1 year mark. So we've been around for a little bit on YouTube. I have about 3,300 subscribers. So I'm building a space for educators to talk about all kinds of issues in education. But today we're gonna provide a space for us to talk about race, implicit bias, microaggressions, all of these different things, right? We want to talk about all of these things, but I realize that we're not going to all agree. So this is going to be a space for us all to just have a conversation like adults, kind of work some thoughts out, gain some information from each other, and just share. So it's not going to all be me just telling you everything I know. It's not about me. It's going to be about us. Today's session is going to be totally about us coming together, having a conversation, and learning together. All right. So a lot of the things that I've learned about having these types of conversations and facilitating them come from Glenn Singleton. He wrote this book called Courageous Conversations About Race. So that's where we kind of get the norms and the parameters of having the conversation. So shout out to him. And another thing, listen, we all enter conversations at different points. Like, you might be a person that's thinking, right? And, you're trying to think things out, and you might be talking to a person that something touches them, right? So they might be in a feeling situation. So it might cause disagreement. Or if you're talking about your beliefs and the things that you believe, and there's another person that's about action and they come in a different spot on the compass, that could also cause disagreement. So one of the things that I want you to do is to be aware of where you're entering the conversation. I see we got some cameras off and stuff like that now, but they're going to be on, and like you're going to be able to see each other's facial expressions and things like that. It's not the same as being in person, but you're still going to be able to see the way people move, the way that they feel, and just start thinking about how someone else is entering the conversation when you're having the conversation. All right. So we're going to get our fingers out, right? We're going to open up that chat box, and we're going to talk about the 4 agreements to a productive conversation today. All right. So the number one thing that I'm going to want you to type yes in the chat box if you agree. All right. So the number one thing that I need you to do is to stay engaged no matter what. It's going to be tough sometimes. You might, you might end up in a breakout group where you might not necessarily agree with everyone, or something might not be exactly said exactly the way that you like, but I want you to stay engaged. So I want you to type yes in the chat box if you can stay engaged. And part of that staying engaged part, like while you're typing yes, I see a lot of yeses. We need just as many cameras to pop on too. So let's go ahead and hit those camera buttons on. Look, I don't care how you look. You might have a little crust in your eye, something like that. It's okay, but hit those camera buttons. Let's all be present. All right. The other thing, and speaking of discomfort, we're gonna all experience discomfort. Like whenever you're talking about race, it's uncomfortable because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You want to try to say everything the right way. But today, I need you to experience the discomfort. All right. Are we all willing to experience discomfort today? Type yes if you're willing to be uncomfortable. Okay, we got some yeses. All right, the yeses are starting to roll in. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, I see you. So another thing, all right, the third thing, I want you to speak your truth. I don't want you to speak CNN's truth. I don't want you to speak Fox News' truth. I want you to speak your truth, what you think authentically to you. I want you to speak exactly your truth when we're having these conversations. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I don't care whether you lean right or you lean left. I want you to speak exactly from your perspective, what you think, what you believe. Can you agree to do that? Okay. All right. I see you. Are y'all with me so far? Okay. All right. So, and the fourth thing, listen, at the end of the day, we are not going to all agree after one conversation. That is an unrealistic standard. We're not. So, like, you might have a conversation, and especially like since this is such a short session, like we're going to be getting in and out of these breakout sessions because we only have an hour, right? So your conversation might not have closure, right? Or your thoughts today might not have closure. Or like you might be talking to someone and you want to get your point across to them and you want them to agree with you. They might not want to close with you. So we all agree to expect and accept non-closure? Okay, all right. Okay, all right, let's get into it then. All right, and I'm gonna keep the chat box up, so if you have questions and stuff, I'm gonna try to check the chat box. Also, y'all can talk to each other in the chat box, like, you know, while we kind of do this too. So chat box is just as important as the presentation. All right, so when you're talking to people like that, sometimes we just hop out there and we make assumptions and things like that about what somebody says or means. So these are some prompts that you could use, right? So if you are unsure about what you heard someone say, and you know, like you're ready to just hop down on them, right? You can say, what I heard you say was, and that gives people the opportunity to kind of clear the air, right? So there's some prompts. So what I heard you say was, right? And you can say, restate what they're saying. Tell me more about what you meant, right? So let's not just jump to conclusions about things people say and things like that. What angers you about what happened? So if you said something and it made someone angry, ask them what angered you about what happened. What hurt you about what happened? What's familiar? Like sometimes there might be a topic that's familiar to someone. Maybe they're going through something at work or they experienced something as a child. But instead of like closing off those feelings, let's dig into them. Let's see what's going on. So what's familiar about what happened? How did that affect you? What do you need or want? I think that's a great way of building like an alliance with someone. What do you need? What do you want? How can I help you? Like, how can we build this together? I think that's a great way to have a conversation, even if we don't have time today. But if you're having a conversation at work or something like that, I think it's a really great way to apply. It's a skill that I literally learned as a school counselor that I kind of bring with me as an assistant principal sometimes when I'm talking to a teacher. So like a lot of these things could also work outside of racial conversations. Like, what do you need? What do you want? How can I help you? How can I be of service? So just keep in mind that all of this isn't just about race. All right. So, all right. So is avoiding the conversation about race the solution, right? So a lot of times, you know, like people like, you know, there's a divide right now in the country. A lot of people say like, oh, well, you know, we shouldn't talk about these things in school. And there's other people that say if kids don't experience it in school, you know, like what, like then we're gonna end up in the same situation that we were in before. So I'm gonna show you a short video. I'm not gonna show you all of it, you know, because we don't really have a lot of time. So I'm gonna show you maybe about a minute 30 seconds of a video. And one of the speakers, actually the first speaker, this is gonna be a student in here, actually was on Ed Leaders before. So I'm gonna click the button. I'm gonna get it pulled up and then.
I think that schools try to avoid talking about race as much as they possibly can. So I know that throughout like elementary and middle school, the only time that we talked about race was when we talked about like the civil rights movement or the Civil War or Black History Month. But we never talked about like the intersection of race and so many other things like in our society.
And Arlen has a video of her on Ed Leaders, so the initial speaker.
The only times we actually get to learn about Black history is when Black History Month it comes around.
We don't talk about what goes on today in history. We don't talk about it in none of these classes. We're taught stuff that they want us to be learned.
We're not seeing the successes of people who look like us. We're only seeing like the oppression, which is important to talk about, but it's also important for us to see like ourselves as people who can succeed, to know like I can do this and I'm worthy.
How can you have a white perspective on more of a Black experience? So, and then only have 5 Black kids to talk about their Black experience if we're reading books about slavery or racism or anything about Black people. Because, and then it's just like assumed that Black people have like they all have the same opinion. So it's more one-sided.
In DC history, I remember.
Okay. So we're gonna stop it there. So you can see like a lot of students, and I mean, this is just like 4, of course, and then these are Black students. And I also want to acknowledge that sometimes in having these conversations, there's like a Black-white binary where like you only, let me see if I can share my screen again. Let's see, share this one. Let's see this, got it. And then let's share screen, new share, back here. Okay, and share. All right. Can you all see my screen? Everybody can see it? You can put a yes in the chat. Let's see, perfect. All right, we're good. Okay, so we're about to go into breakout rooms. All right, so I have 4 questions for you. We're gonna talk about it in the breakout rooms, and then we're gonna use a Jamboard to kind of flesh out some of these thoughts, all right? So first question, all right? And I might as well try to copy these and put them into the chat so you can maybe take them with you. Actually, or just have the conversation. Here we go. So how do you connect with the video? So like, do you connect with this video at all in any way? Should educators avoid the topic of race in schools? All right. Have you ever felt the urge to remain silent or end a racial conversation in your classroom or in school? And if you did, if you felt uncomfortable in any way, like, did you overcome it? Like, did you succumb to it? Did you just shut it down? How did you feel about it? So we're going to go into breakout rooms now. So we're going to stop sharing here. I'm going to come over here. And let's see, breakout rooms, under more breakouts. All right, so we have, let's see, how many participants do we have? We have 33. So let's see, make like, okay. I'm gonna make it small. So we'll do 11 breakout rooms. Let's do 3-person breakout rooms. So we'll hit create and then open all rooms. Oh, you couldn't see the video, Scott?
TaRael, I think Scott would like a link maybe to that video on YouTube.
Okay, I'll get it to him.
I think he was able to see and hear it, but he just would like to have that video for use outside of there. How you doing, Herschel, Hannah?
Yeah.
There's Herschel. Good to have you on the webinar.
I'm fine, Arlen. It's good to be here. I just got off the road.
Oh, good. You just got home, I guess.
Yeah, I was down in Cahokia.
Oh, great.
Nice. So you're down by me.
I was coaching.
Nice. Where do you coach?
I was coaching one of my mentees.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, TaRael, if you want to post the link to that video in the chat, they can bump out and save it. I just posted the Zoe Jenkins link too.
I think that schools try to avoid talking.
Okay, got it. And then let's go over here. Okay, done. Got it. Hey, Michelle. Were you able to get into the breakout?
I just joined.
Oh, gotcha.
It's late. Sorry about that.
You're fine. I wonder if I can move you to a breakout. I don't know if I can do that. Let's see. All right, let's see. How long have they been in the breakout? What do you think, about a minute so far?
I just joined as well.
Oh, gotcha. Let's see.
Yeah, they've only been in there for a couple minutes.
Okay, so what do you think? Let's see. I'm gonna do about 5 minutes. So 3 minutes left. And I'll try to put you in breakouts. Let's see if I could do. I see you, participants. And okay, Michelle Hopper. Assign to do group 4. Okay. And then who was the other person? Let's see. Denise Campbell.
Scott Savage.
Okay. 10.
Yeah, I don't know why it says that. That's not my name.
Okay.
Do you want to rename? I think if you click the 3 little dots by your webcam, you can go to rename, or I can do it for you if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm not the most tech savvy person. I don't know how I ended up. I think I don't know what he did, because he sent this invite to a bunch of us, and I think it was for him specific. So
okay.
Gotcha. And then I should have. Did you get the link to the breakout room?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Okay. And then let's see, Denise, were you able to get into the breakout room? Oh, she is. Okay, so she's in room 10. Perfect. And then let's see, got the rooms all going. And then I could broadcast a message to all of them and let them know 1 minute. Oh, broadcast, perfect. There we go, so they can start wrapping up and then I could end the breakouts. Yeah. Your son's sleeping through the entire thing, huh? It's out.
He's doing good so far. Let me check. I'll check the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will message you if he wakes up.
Okay.
Because the only thing you might have to end the presentation on your own.
Okay. It's no problem.
And can you stop the recording yourself, or do I have to stop the recording?
I think I can. I'm gonna close this. Let's see, I'm gonna close them out. Let's see, actually, wait.
I should have paused the recording for this breakout.
Oh yeah, true. I'm gonna close the rooms real quick.
Okay.
And then, okay. So they should be back in like 60 seconds. And then yeah, I could pause and stop recording.
Okay, great.
I'll pause it on the next breakout.
That would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then let's go back to sharing screen. And okay. And okay. Copy this link, and then we're gonna put that in the chat. Okay. Where did my chat go? Here's my chat. Okay. Okay. All right, so I just put the link to the Jamboard in the chat. So click that link. And I want you to do this, okay? We're gonna grab a sticky note and you can just tell me like quickly, like you could say no because or yes because, and just do like a quick little statement of what you think. Should educators allow racial conversations into their schools and classrooms? You do not have and no one can see who wrote the sticky note, so you can put what you believe and no one's gonna judge you.
TaRael, can you open that up so anybody can post? We clicked on the link, but it's asking us to
Gotcha.
Yeah, anyone with the link would be great.
Oh wait, I might need to change. Yep, perfect.
Can you repost the link, because we came from our meeting room and now it's not in the chat.
Gotcha.
Nope.
No problem. There we go. There you go. So no judgment. You could put your sticky tab. So grab a sticky tab. We don't want to do like a big thing like that. You want to do like a sticky tab. So like something like that. And then you're going to write on that. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. And then while we're doing this, if anyone wants to share out, if you want to unmute yourself and you want to make a statement, you can. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Definitely should. Yes, definitely. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Let's see what we have here. They should. How will we ever make progress as society if kids are taught they can't talk about it? Yes, of course. I totally agree. Let's see. Yes, especially with some training. Yes, this is a great way to share diversity of thoughts. Allow, question, yes. Encourage more division by obsessing about race. No. Let's see. No, just allow, but encourage. Okay. And let's see, yes, if they have some skills at managing student emotions and ability to redirect. Let's see, yes, it is reality and we need to practice the discussion. Yes, we also need to teach parameters for difficult conversations, teach students how to respectfully disagree. Yes, we need to bring student identities into schools and classroom. Absolutely, we need to model these discussions, especially in context with their content. We absolutely should be discussing this, absolutely, respectfully, and allowing for self-reflection. If anyone wants to share out, I could take maybe 1 or 2 comments. If anyone wants to share out what they think about this.
I actually have a question, TaRael.
Sure.
Define racial conversations, maybe. Like, what are we talking about when we say, should we allow racial conversations into our schools and classrooms?
Okay, so for example, I had a situation maybe like 2 years ago with at our school, and students were talking about whether or not they should have Black and Hispanic heritage clubs, right? And so it started within a class, right? It was in an English class, and they started talking about it. Or say, for example, in of mice and men, there are multiple different in that context of talking about like the Klan and all these different things that happened throughout like that time period during the Great Depression, right? So should they snip like the conversation whenever they talk about race, or should they allow for the conversation amongst the students? Should they be allowed to speak their mind, their thoughts, and to agree or disagree respectfully? Did that answer your question? Was that good?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm in grades 3 through 5. So I think our teachers are probably a little bit, I don't want to say hesitant, but just more sensitive in how they approach conversasations like that because of their age and their lack of experience. And really a lot of them are just parroting things that they hear their parents say. But, most like our 5th graders watch CNN 10. And there's a lot of stuff that would prompt, rich conversations like that. And I know some teachers shy away from that and other teachers engage it. But we actually have parents who say, I do not want my child to watch CNN. So, that's another piece that we face.
Right. And the thing is, everyone won't agree. So there are valid opinions that are contrary. So like we have in 2019, 36% of all 3rd grade students could read at grade level. Why aren't we focusing on what's important? I mean, so do you have to focus on race, or could the conversation about race appear in class? So I mean, like focusing on race would be like having an entire, lesson on race. I would say the topic of race coming up in class would be in an AP literature class where like you're discussing a book and race came up within it. You know what I mean? Like, so a conversation regarding race where kids sometimes disagree would be totally different than maybe focusing on race per se. Let's see. Go ahead.
I was going to say, can I ask some questions about some of these? I'm seeing all these posts now about the percentages of students. Sure. I guess I want to make sure I understand what. So in 2019, 36% of all 3rd grade students could read at grade level. Why aren't we focusing on what matters? My question is that implying that getting kids to read at grade level matters and having conversations about race does not matter? Can we not have? Can we not have more than one thing that matters, right? Like and for perhaps a child who is experiencing racism, maybe that's a part of why they can't read. They're experiencing trauma, right? So I think that those are important conversations that can be had together. But I want to make sure I'm not reading that incorrectly.
Right. Let's see. We have a hand raised. Stephanie Morgan, could you unmute yourself?
Yes. To piggyback off that comment, when we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in order for students to feel successful or to learn in their environment, they first must feel safe, not just physically safe, but emotionally and socially safe and racially safe. So I can't learn from a teacher that I don't like or that I feel does not value me. So if I feel invisible in the classroom, that's a challenge, right? And I'm speaking as a principal and as a parent of a kid that is the only Black girl in her class. And she struggles daily because sometimes her teacher sees her and sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes the class recognizes and value her worth and sometimes they don't. And so when we think about 3rd grade reading scores, if we're not valuing who they are as a person, as an individual, as a human being, then how are we expected to teach them how to read or to write?
So there we go. So, all right. So just to make sure that we make it through all of this, we're going to continue to move on. But that is a great great points, right? You know, like can students navigate in a system where they do not feel hurt? Like, do you think that kids are going to learn as, let's see, 30% of Black third graders in CPS are reading at grade level? If you want to discuss this, start there, start here. Yet Black Illinois politicians protect this indefensible system. Okay, we're gonna move along because this is gonna be one of those non-closure things, right? So we're gonna move on. All right, so can you see my screen? Okay. So how can we support students if the conversation comes up, if that is something that they're talking about, right? Because I think it's really good for kids to learn how to speak to each other. Just because, to be honest with you, in some of the classroom observations that I've been to, especially in the English department, kids sometimes are better at communicating with each other than adults can. So how can we support them, right? First thing that we're going to need to do is assess our own comfort level. Yes. Are we comfortable talking about race? Like, are we uncomfortable talking about race? Like, how do we feel coming into this situation when the conversation of race occurs in class? Especially, I'm telling you, in a lot of those AP English classes, it comes up. Sometimes in history classes, it comes up. On the AP history exam, it's going to come up. So, you know, it's going to be there. It's going to happen in society, on the news. So, I mean, maybe in, you know, 3rd and 5th grade, maybe kids might not watch the news as much, but it's very difficult to keep a high school student away from seeing what's on the news, or if there's an event or anything like that. Kids are going to want to talk about it. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable first. If you are uncomfortable, you're going to have to find, like, to give you a perfect example, I'm uncomfortable every single time I have this conversation. I'm uncomfortable, but you have to try to figure out a way to find comfort in the discomfort, because you don't really know how it's going to go. You have hopes for how you want this thing to shake out, but there's some discomfort there, and it's totally understandable, but you have to try to find a way to feel comfortable. You also have to be vulnerable, right? You know, like there's going to be times where people disagree with you, or like there's might be some topics that might come up that you might not feel, you know, comfortable about, or maybe you don't know something that you feel that you should know, and it's okay to be vulnerable in those situations. And if you have strong emotions, it's not okay. I mean, some people are going to run away from those emotions. Get it. I totally get it. But it's more important to address those strong emotions while we disagree. Because I guarantee you right now, all of us don't agree on this chat, and that's okay. But like, why are we vehemently against something or vehemently for something? Let's try to figure this thing out so that we can begin to work together instead of like shouting and pointing. How can we move together? Because I've seen students do it, but it does not happen as much as it could at the adult level. So we need to prepare our students. So like one of the things that we have to do is, like, you know, like we were talking about with the prompts, is teaching students how to reiterate. So sometimes you need a second before you just blurt out and attack the person, right? You need to reiterate, make sure that you understand what the person is saying, because we're talking about thoughts, we're talking about perspectives, and we're not really attacking people, right? You want to contemplate, take a second to think. It is okay, like, to not answer right away, especially if you're feeling like upset or something bothers you. It's okay to take pause and to collect your thoughts before you speak. There's also going to be times where you're going to feel like you're over it, right? So like there's like a chart, a neat chart in the in this article that I'm gonna send the link to all of this to you. But you're gonna sometimes people go in and out of the conversation, like where you're over it, then you come back up. So sometimes you have to re-inspire yourself, right? And you also want to make sure that you communicate articulately and effectively exactly what you feel and what you believe into the conversation, so that you feel like your words are heard and that they matter. So that's it. All right, so we're going to talk about microaggressions. And I know, listen, everyone's not going to agree about this, and that is okay. But we're going to go into breakout rooms after this video. But everybody's not going to agree. But we're going to talk about microaggressions. I have a short video that explains what they are. Then we're going to have a conversation about it in the breakout room. So, all right, here we go. Got a little ad first.
For people who still don't think that microaggressions are a problem.
Oh, you're so well spoken.
Just imagine, instead of being a stupid comment, a microaggression is a mosquito bite.
Ugh, it's a compliment.
Mosquito bites and their itch are one of nature's most annoying features. But if you're only bitten every once in a while,
No, where are you really from?
Cleveland?
sure, it's annoying, but it's not that big a deal. The problem is that some people get bitten by mosquitoes a lot more than other people. I mean, a lot more. Whether it's on a date,
Oh, your English is so good.
Excuse me?
going grocery shopping,
You know, everything happens for a reason.
I'm just buying apples.
commuting to work,
So when are you gonna have a baby?
watching TV,
We have to keep the Redskins name. It's part of our culture and history.
or just walking down the street with your partner.
I couldn't even tell you were gay.
Mosquitoes seem to pop up everywhere.
Do you know John? Give me shopping advice. I love Cher too.
And getting bit by mosquitoes every goddamn day,
Can I touch your hair?
multiple times a day,
So pretty. Can
Can I touch
touch your
it,
hair?
please? I want to touch it. Can I please?
is fucking annoying. And makes you want to go ballistic on those mosquitoes, which seems like a huge overreaction to people who only get bit every once in a while.
It's just a mosquito bite. Who cares?
Just another angry black woman.
Of course, beyond just being annoying, some mosquitoes carry truly threatening diseases that can mess up your life for years.
Astrophysics? Maybe you should try less challenging, Major.
Ow, my dreams.
And other mosquitoes carry strains that can even kill you.
He looked like he was up to trouble, okay? I felt threatened.
So next time you think someone's overreacting, just remember, some people experience mosquito bites all the time.
You're all so exotic. Wow.
And by mosquito bites, we mean microaggressions.
Okay, so we're gonna stop sharing that, and then we're gonna share my screen again. We're gonna figure out, let's see, go back over here. Okay, let's see, get out of that. Okay, and then we're gonna come over here. Okay, so we're gonna go into breakout rooms again. So we have 3 questions here. Do you believe that microaggressions are an issue in school? Do you believe that that's even an issue, right? I'm not gonna make any assumptions here. In what ways do you see microaggressions happen in schools if you do see them happening? And how can microaggressions impact students and staff members if you believe that they happen? So I am going to stop sharing this. We're going to go back into breakout rooms. This time we're going to probably do about 4 minutes instead of 5 minutes because it's not as much of a question. So we're going to recreate this because I don't want you to be in the same room with the same people. So we're going to recreate it. We're going to do 11 rooms. We're going to open the rooms and you can join now. So I'll see you in 4 minutes. Let me know if you need help joining your room. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to share a screen again. We're going to go back over here and we're going to go there. And we're going to go to the next thing. And I'll put this back in. Give everyone a second to kind of get in. Our numbers are coming back up. When we get to about 32, 33, then we'll get back started. Everyone else, like if you click that link, we're gonna go back to that Jamboard and we're gonna do the same thing.
And TaRael, you may need to repost the link of
Yep, same link and post it
yeah.
back. So same link. And you can leave it open. We're gonna come back to it again.
Okay, perfect.
Right, and we're gonna grab sticky notes. And so you are free to disagree and you can anonymously disagree, right? And you can feel free to agree. And then we'll have maybe 3 people share out just because of time. And you could also, like, if you don't feel comfortable speaking, like you could also, but if you're comfortable, like saying, like having your name show, you could comment. So for sure with staff and students, absolutely. Let's see, yes, let's see. They begin at a young age and impact the child's sense of self. Yes, how can they not? If a parent is dealing with assumptions regularly, how is it not impacting them? Yes, more often than I am probably able to realize. So yes, of course, day in and day out, we need to keep educating, calling it out when it happens respectfully and informative. Let's see. I think it depends on the age of the students. Younger students don't always understand microaggressions are happening. Yes, they have trouble processing. How so? Both when they use them and feel them. Definitely our system is not equitable. Yes, impacts self-esteem, self-worth, trust, and feeling of the same. So you definitely just have to listen for them and catch them, absolutely, and not just in schools. It is pervasive in all areas of society. Every day, especially at the junior high and high school levels, the maturity level isn't such that they understand how their comments affect others. The younger we educate and talk about this, the sooner we can lessen the anxiety around the conversations. Staff need more training on their word choice and how it can affect others. Younger students may not understand, but they can feel the disrespect. People may not recognize that what is happening is a microaggression, but they know when something makes them feel bad. Parents experience them, of course. Yes, it impacts them. Somehow they feel less than different. On people that disagree, like, I don't want you to feel like you have to agree either. Let's see, of course, anything that makes a person feel other impacts their learning, their professional performance. So definitely just have to listen for them to catch them. Yes, it might make them feel like they don't belong. Could be innocent intent, but it doesn't feel that way to the other person, of course. I could have time for maybe 2 or 3 people to speak out. If you want, you could unmute yourself. Like, what do you think? What have you experienced? You could just unmute and hop out there if you want. This is why we need social emotional learning built into every grade level. At the pre-K level, we start with we are all different and we are all special. Okay.
One of our things that I've seen is when we start talking about microaggressions, actually the kids I teach at a high school level, I feel like the kids are having the best, richest, most vulnerable conversations about it. It's when we get talking to staff that they start to feel guilty and defensive sometimes and don't know how to continue that conversation. And so they're having a much less effective conversation and reflection about it than our students are, which is really disappointing when we're all in education.
So can I ask you a question? So like, you don't have to have the answer to this. And if you don't have the answer to it, maybe someone else might, or have an idea. So how can we have this conversation thoroughly and openly, but also like not push people away in a way? Like, so how can we, because I don't think we can grow if we're like completely separated. I think someone wrote, the very concept leads to the feminization of men. Not sure how, having a conversation shouldn't lead you to feel feminine. I don't think I feel feminine anyway. Let's see, not that that's a bad thing to feel feminine, but I don't think I do. Let's see, yes, they begin at a young age and impact child's sense of self. Let's see, yes, to some degree. Okay.
Well, and I wanted to add in, I'm not sure why, I mean, to me, feminization, that word in that phrase there, the way it's written, sounds like that's a bad thing. Like I am a woman. And so does that mean that I'm less than men? I guess I'm not. So the way that it has been presented makes me feel like we think being feminine is a negative thing. And I find that to be problematic.
Someone wrote, boys are, felon at a higher rate than ever before. Black boys have an 80% likelihood of being without a father and then get further emasculated by teachers in school. I totally disagree there. I don't believe that the teachers emasculate men. I've had some great teachers, and and not that being feminine is a bad thing, but I don't believe that I've been feminized in any way. I don't think that is true.
I think the idea is that when people think that talking about your feelings is a female thing and recognizing your feelings is a female thing, and that's just not true, but it's taken us a long time to get out of that. I mean, if you think about the way that it was back in the 50s and the 60s, men didn't talk about anything. Men came home, they didn't talk about work, they didn't talk about being in the military. They were taught not to talk about what happened. And everything was shush shush, and you talk to mom about your problems. And I think that's where the whole idea of it becoming a feminization thing for men. That could be where that idea came from. But I feel like we have to get away from that idea.
Yeah, and I hear you, but in the 50s and 60s, like they used to have these great discussions, right? These great discussions on TV. And like they would have like two people that were polar opposites. Like maybe like James Baldwin and like, I don't know, like someone else that's like far right, right? And like they could have a conversation with each other and they could leave, shake hands, and everything would be good. But today it just seems like that no matter what, like we can't have a conversation with each other if we disagree with each other. It's always like, I have to dunk on you and I have to win. But it doesn't like, when can we get to conversations where we're trying to understand and not win? Does that make sense? So I don't really think that having a conversation with someone and telling them what annoys them, like, hey, like when you say this about me, it's annoying. I don't really think that that's a feminine perspective. Let's see, the unconsciousness of our use of language and phrases which are racist is a problem. Gotcha. So I don't know. So again, we're at a non-closure point. I mean, I'm not going to say that the person that wrote the comment is going to agree with me. I don't expect them to, but I disagree. Let's see, teachers won't allow discussions about the silliness of multiple genders because it is seen as a micro. Okay. All right, so we're going to move along. All right, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move along. We're going to keep on trudging because I want to make sure that we finish on time. I don't want to keep you out here all night. Let's see. All right. So how can we support our staff, right? So when we're working with staff members, right? So some of the ways, in one of the people that disagreed was talking about equity gaps, right? Like reading levels and things like that. Who's reading what or whatever, right? So how can we fix those things? So one of the things that they might be advocating for is working to improve an equity gap, like, by a product of their of what they said they believed, right? So how can we address those gaps, right? So for this person, it might mean that we need to read more or whatever, right? I don't know. Maybe it's more parent involvement or something like that. Whatever their perspective is, they could comment maybe in the chat if they want to, if they're willing to, because I can't really speak on what they think. But there's also, when we're looking at attendance, when we're looking at all these sorts of things, college going behaviors. Like, so for example, like when I think of equity work, a lot of people, and maybe the person that wrote the thing or whatever, they might think equity, they think race. So I was talking on my YouTube channel. When I think about equity work, I think of it differently. I think about the kid that can't see that has a 504 plan, but they get moved up to the front of the class. I think about our kids, because our district is very diverse, not just racially, but economically. We have some kids that have never left like their small town, right? So and some of them are white, right? So I had a white student, a female student a while back. We took a trip to Chicago and we took them to 4 universities just to kind of see what college was like. And we also took them to the Sears Tower. I know they changed the name, but it's going to always be the Sears Tower to me. But like we looked out the balcony, like the balcony where you look down and, these white kids that were with me, like they said that they never thought that they would get to do anything like this before because they've never left. They've never been on a vacation. They've never been out of town. To me, that is equity work because now I made college more real. Like you got to see sleep in a dorm room. You got to meet with college professors, talk about careers and majors that you never like. So it doesn't have to always be race when we're talking about equity. So if I notice something, if I notice an issue, I need to develop a plan, right? I want to act upon that plan. I want to observe it, see if anything's worked, how things are going. And then I want to reflect on that plan. And that's called the action research cycle. And that's the way that I've been going about it in my time as an educator. And at our school, like we've noticed that the gaps are actually starting to shrink. And it's not just racially, it's economically. There's all these different ways that you could provide equity, and it's not always just about race. So when you identify equitable practices within a school, call it out. Try to and call it out in a way that makes that calls people in. I think sometimes like when we're calling it out and we're trying to dunk on people, we shut people down. We need to figure out a way to call people out in a way that actually brings more people into our tent than leaves people outside of our tent. And that's just me. And some people may disagree with that. But I want more people in my tent, more people moving in my direction than I want people that are not moving in my direction. I want people to go with me. So I do this all the time. These are like prompts from like the restorative justice circle. And I do this all the time in a bunch of different settings. Let's see, if you'd like some help designing for access and equity from the beginning, check out the work of CAST. You can find more info at cast.org. I found it super helpful. Thank you so much, Angie. So I use these prompts all the time, right? So whether it's in conversations or sometimes it's with girl drama, like whatever it is, right? We always start off with what happened, right? What are the facts of the situation? What exactly happened, right? And we talk nothing about anything else, no feelings, anything like that, just the facts, what happened. From there, we try to understand why the situation happened. Say there's a big racial incident at your school, or there's something going on in your community and you want to talk about it. Let's try to figure out why it happened. Like, what was the cause of this? Let's break this thing apart. Let's look at the nuts and bolts of it and figure out why it happened. Let's understand the impact. Like, what was the damage that was done by the situation? How did this impact our school community? How did this impact our students, our staff, whatever? And what can we do to repair the harm? How can we start to build again and get out of the funk of whatever caused the situation? I use it all the time. And it's not just for racial situations. Like I said, in girl drama, which happens quite a bit, like in my admin office, we definitely use this all the time. And then I see a great comment from Michelle. Can't really read it all right now because I want to keep this thing moving because I want us to get back into our conversations too. But thank you so much. All right, so conversation time. All right, so again, I want to remind you that sometimes when we're having these conversations, and I realize it in the video now, I probably need to change it, mix it up a little bit because like too many of these videos involve Black students. But I'm going to use this again just as a conversation starter. So here we go. So we're going to click on the video. It might be a little ad. Rural King, okay.
Deals at Rural King are so hot this fall. We're starting Black Friday
You
now.
do not have to
Get diesel
agree.
exhaust fluid now
You
only
are free to
$7.99 a jug.
disagree, okay?
And
Like, I
save
do not
$2 on
want
apple
anyone
flavored
to
deer
feel
corn.
pressured
Just
to-
$11.49 a bag. Save at ruralking.com or your neighborhood Rural King, America's farm and home store.
Teachers always have their favorite students, but when does this favoritism turn into bias? Hi guys, Lisette here for D News. Teachers are an important part of our learning and development. I still remember every single one of my elementary school teachers, the ones I thought were good as well as the ones I thought were not so good. But what did they think of me or you? How did that affect our learning? Well, a recent study published in the journal Economics of Education Review looked at data from thousands of students across the U.S. and their teachers to see where race and gender fall into the equation. In the study, different teachers were asked to rate the same 10th grade student and predict his or her highest level of educational attainment. The researchers found that predictions varied based on the gender and race of both the student and teacher. In general, the expectations of Black teachers for Black students were 30 to 40% higher than those held by non-Black teachers. In other words, they believed Black students would do far better. To illustrate, 37% of Black teachers, when asked about a Black student, let's call her Samantha, thought she would obtain a 4-year college degree. In contrast, only 28% of white teachers thought she would do so. Now, if she were a Samuel instead, this effect would be even greater. White male teachers in particular have very low expectations of Black boys. They don't believe they'll do as well. The problem is that what teachers believe has a serious impact on student outcomes. We know from this and other studies that expectations matter. In this particular study, the researchers found Black students who had a non-Black teacher in a specific subject in 10th grade were less likely to pursue that subject later in their schooling. But it's more than just subject area preferences. It influences how well students do in school and to some degree the quality of their education. In the infamous Pygmalion in the Classroom study from the 1960s, researchers Rosenthal and Jacobson conducted an experiment with elementary children in public school. At the beginning of the school year, the researchers gave all students an IQ test as a baseline. They then told teachers erroneously that a certain subset of those students would show an intellectual growth spurt over the course of that year. This was a lie. In fact, the students were chosen at random, but that suggestion to teachers had a measurable effect. By the end of the year, the students who were labeled as growth spurt students actually did perform better than the rest of their classmates. On average, they gained 3.8 IQ points more. And these differences were even greater for younger children. Looking at first grade students only, the difference was 15.4 IQ points. This suggests that there is a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy happening. Teachers who believe their students will do well are more likely to act in ways that will lead to that happening. Since the 60s, other studies have dug in to try to figure out what exactly teachers might be doing that leads to this bias. And it looks like it could be things like giving children they believe are smart more time to answer questions when called on, giving them more challenging questions, or recommending them for gifted and talented programs. Teacher expectations are powerful, so much so that today we largely consider it unethical to label students the way we did in the Pygmalion study. It wouldn't be right to knowingly put some students at a disadvantage, which is why labels like race and gender are so tricky in a classroom. These labels don't require a researcher. Teachers can automatically and involuntarily apply them to students. So it's especially important to grapple with and examine the expectations attached to them. For a deeper dive into race itself, what it really is and what it means, check out this.
Okay, so that is enough of that. So we're gonna, let's see, I'm learning my lesson here, like on how to do this. All right, first off, I'm gonna share this link for, is this it? Okay.
You created a business.
Okay, we're gonna
now
do this.
Create videos for your business.
Okay.
Easily and
share
instantly
that like that, right?
with
And we're
Vimeo
gonna pause
Create.
this thing so it can stop, and then we're gonna do this. And then we're gonna go back over here. Okay, so we're gonna do another, see, I need to log off, okay. And then let's see, we're gonna do another 4-minute discussion. So how does implicit bias impact students? You could think that it doesn't impact them at all. How do you connect with the video? Is there anything that resonates with you? Do you believe implicit bias or racism impact you or your students at or your school? And that's pretty much actually the same question as that. I'm not sure how they doubled up like that. So I'm gonna put you, and let me stop the sharing, and then we're gonna go into the breakout rooms, and we're gonna have a quick 4-minute discussion. So I'm gonna recreate these rooms so that you could be in different rooms. And let's see how many people we have. We have 28, 27. Okay, so we'll do 9 rooms. So we're gonna recreate, we'll do 9 rooms so we can keep it to 3 people. Because I don't want you in there with a bunch of people, and I will see you in 4 minutes. And we'll pause this. Let's move this and share screen again. Share. Okay. Okay, let's make sure we're muted up. We're gonna go over to the next tab, and we'll read some of these off. Okay, so let's see. All right, I'll put the link back in there just in case someone closed it. So we'll go right over here, and let's look at what we have here. All right, so we have DEI. It's an industry and race hustlers benefit from continued obsession about race. We'd love to know how much the consultants running this webinar were paid. $0, zero, free. Transparency is the best medicine for rebuilding trust. So hopefully that's some transparency. Volunteer. Let's see, implicit bias exists everywhere.
So I'm going to jump in again, and I hope I'm not taking over. Anybody talk over me if they would like to. But you said earlier, you asked about how do we say things nicely? How do we call people out nicely? And, I will refer back to Brene Brown and clear is kind. Yes. So I'm going to say that on the last screen, there was a comment that was made, and it's really more about our language. And so I'm just going to say that the language that has been used, and please call me out if I've used any inappropriate language. Sure. I want to learn too. But when we talk about things like the silliness of multiple genders, that word silliness is pretty judgmental. But sure. I'm also going to call you out when you say things like girl drama. That is another thing that, so then girls, take that message, they internalize that. And so sure. I think we have to be aware of just our language in general.
For sure. And I'll definitely correct that. You're definitely right. For sure. No doubt about it. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Implicit bias exists everywhere. Schools are no exception. Thank you too for the comment. Let's see. Yes, I think it's difficult to see and too easy to disregard. Of course, we all have implicit bias. The dangers come. The dangers comes in acknowledging we all have it and not reflecting on how we act. Yeah. For example, just like me right there. That's a perfect example. And like, I think that's cool. Like, one thing that I love doing is being open. Like, if I make a mistake or whatever, like, it doesn't bother me to make a mistake because my goal is to always get better. It's not necessarily like, oh, like you got to be the most woke person ever. I just want to be the best person that I can personally be. Some people might not want to be, or whatever, but if I say something wrong, like, doesn't bother me at all to get called out. One of the other things that I do, I hope I haven't done it as much today, is I say man too much, especially when I'm addressing women. So that's another thing that I've been called out about, and it's something I'm working on. All right, so let's see. Yes, of course, they are within us. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see, I can't see that. I'm sorry, I'm blind. If you are human, you're biased. Our brains are set up to allow us to discriminate. We are born, I'm so sorry, like I am blind. You're seeing one of my weaknesses now. We are born with it. It is unavoidable because it is embedded. We can't just watch these videos and notice how you are affected, but we have to do the internal work. Humans were born judging things around us. It is our nature to have bias towards things around us. Yes, we should all be constantly working on improving ourselves. Not sure what this link is to. Oh, is this like a study or something like that? We talked about this quiz. Oh yeah, the bias quiz. I've seen that. Let's see, put that together just in case someone wants that. And you'll have access to this afterwards if you want to copy the link. And then if anyone else wants to speak out, like, it's totally fine. So, and if you have comments, if I've said something that was demonstrating implicit bias, shoot. Let's see.
I was actually just typing that I think there's a difference between having the bias and acting on the bias.
Gotcha. For sure, there is. There is. Causing harm and thinking, like having those thoughts. And sometimes you could be aware of a bias, and as a guy, I mean, like, guys have some biases. There's all, as someone in the middle class, like people in the middle class might have biases, like, so there are all blind spots. Like even like there's like being like some people like with disabilities, like I might have blind spots on that. Stephanie, feel free to speak out.
When I think of implicit bias, one of the most common implicit bias that I notice in school is the word good and bad. Mm-hmm. And so the implicit bias of what good kids are and what bad kids are. Good kids typically have good test scores, well-mannered, well-behaved, well-mannered, controllable kids. Bad kids are the ones who challenge the narrative, speak out, they're typically deemed the bad kids. I have reframed that language in my school because I see that as them exercising agency. We want kids to advocate for themselves. However, we don't allow them to because we consider them the bad kids because they talking back. So the implicit bias of good kid versus bad kid is one of the underlying roots of an implicit bias in our school system. Sure.
I mean, and people even do it with the parents. You have good parents, bad parents. And I mean, like, there's all kinds of things. Like we categorize things, like we categorize the people that we want to date. I mean, like people put people in categories. I think like we just need to be careful, like when we're categorizing students, like because of like the impact that it might have, and I mean, unconsciously, I mean, like there might be times where it might be difficult to do that, especially if someone's causing you issues within the classroom and stuff like that. But I think we just need to be cognizant of that. So, all right, let's push forward because we're almost there. All right, so self-reflecting. All right, so there are different ways that you can go with this, right? And you're entitled to your own direction, right? I'm not going to try to force anyone anyway. You could say, you could be neutral. You could try to become neutral. Like, this is not my concern. I'm not racist. I'm not responsible for what happened. If people was to just stop talking about race, if these race hustlers would stop talking about race, it would just go away. You could do that. Nothing wrong with that. And that's who you are. You could also decide that I want to become a better person myself. So I'm going to listen to podcasts. I'm going to participate in book studies. And this is the anti-bias work, like working against like your own biases and learning more, participating in credentials and conferences, listening to your minority students and colleagues, like the people that are around you. It doesn't even have to necessarily be minorities. It could be the people with disabilities. It could be people from a poor community. If you have a majority white school and some of your the kids are from poorer families, and then you have some people from middle to upper class families, like listening to people. I think that's always a great thing, especially when you're listening to understand and not necessarily listening to rebut or to pick apart or pull apart someone. So, so that is always helpful. And then there's anti-racism, and it doesn't even have to just be racism. Like I said, it could be other things like pulling things apart, changing policies, looking to see if policies are inequitable to any student group, looking at doing policy and bylaw audits to make sure that everything is up to par, investing money to make sure that kids have opportunities. Like I said earlier, this could be investing in a college trip. So I had those students that were from that rural background that never left, but I applied for grants and things like that, and I was able to take them to multiple universities in Chicago, and that was really great. Doing targeted interventions for kids, coordinating efforts with the school community and bringing other and outside agencies and things like that. And then again, I love using the action research cycle instead of just scrapping things and trying new thing after new thing. Like observe something, make a decision, observe it, reflect on what happened, and then gradually tweak it and try to get 1% better instead of scrapping everything every time something new comes out, because you never really get anywhere like that. Okay, so let's see, let's push through. Some of the great books that I've read in the past, and there might be other books. I like the Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting in the Table book. I thought that was really cool. Dr. Ibram Kendi's book, even though it says how to be an anti-racist, a variety of other things came up. And to be honest, I saw a lot of my own blind spots in there. Then there's this book, Cass by Isabel Wilkerson, that I thought was really great. So those are just 3 books that I like. You don't have to read those ones. It might be other books that people could suggest in the chat or something that they like, but I really thought those books were really cool. So I'm gonna send out the link to this too. I'm gonna make a PDF and send out the link to this. I'll send this to Arlen. And there's links to different resources. ASCA, even though they're a school counseling association, they have resources for everyone, for having these kind of conversations. And there's TED Talks and there's YouTube videos. There's so much information out there and so many different different platforms that is, if you don't want to learn about it, you literally have to put your blindfold on and your earmuffs and try to intentionally not to learn stuff, because there's just so much information out there just readily available. So the last thing, we're gonna go back to that Jamboard one more time. And let's see if I put that over here. Yeah, here we go. So what is one thing that you will do as a result of today's discussion? What is one action that you will take? And you can put it in the chat if you want to do that. Let's see. Thank you for the session and the resources. No problem at all. And I know I kept you a little bit over. That's why I'm kind of going a little fast right now. I'm a little bit over time. Arlen's might not be happy. Continue to learn and engage always. Share the first video you show to us with others for sure. Thank you. Gotta share. What is something that you will do as a result? I found this book phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing, Sarah. Continue the work, continue the conversations with my colleagues, continue to learn, listen, accept others' perspective, continue to connect with others to talk about this topic, continue the conversations with my colleagues, be conscious of my bias. Think about my use of language and see where I can improve. Share implicit bias video with colleagues. Self-reflection and identifying my bias and continue to learn how to connect with others. Read. Pick a book to begin with. Look into other resources. Continue to do some reflection on my own biases. I need to move this chat box. Let's see. Include the concept of microaggressions in professional learning plans. Not be afraid to have those courageous conversations. And listen, y'all. Hey, look. Everyone's not gonna agree with you, and as you can see on the Jamboard, man, you keep it pushing. You have honest actors, people that actually might not agree with you and might want to work with you that you could talk to and you could kind of move forward. Then you have the dishonest actors, the people that come on and do stuff like that. So you just keep it pushing, and you don't really worry about it. Let's see. Continue to speak up and continue to read and learn more, because I really like to have conversations with people that don't necessarily agree with me, as long as we're honest and we're trying to do something together. Let's see. All right. I think that it's kind of slowing down, a little trickling in now. So I guess with that being said, do you have any questions for me? Here's my email, just in case you want to email me. On Twitter, I am TKee06, so it's TKEE06. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my YouTube channel is called The Key to Success. And I don't just talk about like race and stuff like that. I'm working on an episode about Jeffrey Dahmer, like could the school community, parents, police officers in school all work together to solve a situation like that, because there was some leakage that happened in high school and stuff like that. So I want to do cool things like that too. So we talk about all sorts of things on my YouTube channel that are about education, school counseling, teaching, being an administrator. I want to bring on some social workers, bring on people that disagree with me, all kinds of stuff. Thank you so much, Christine. Let's see, Karen, when will we get a copy of the presentation? Thank you for the, I'm going to send it to Arlen immediately after this. So we'll see how fast he can get that out to you. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute. Let's see, this has been wonderful. Thank you, Amy. This was fantastic. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much. We need to keep doing the work. Janice says, thanks. Shelly says, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time too, Shelly. Thank you for coming out. Thanks so much. We need this. Thank you, Sarah. And then I'm gonna hit, let's see, how do I end the recording? You are recording. Maybe if I stop sharing, I can see all my little buttons. And I'll stop the recording. Stop it.